today's distinguished speaker, Dr. G. Segal Kiran, professor in the Department of Food Science and Technology at Pondicherry University. We are truly grateful to her for accepting our invitation to deliver a special talk in this webinar. Thank you, ma'am. Furthermore, I would like to extend a warm welcome to the officials of our department, the dedicated staff of the Puducherry Climate Change Cell, and all the participants representing diverse backgrounds who have joined us today. Once again, I extend a hearty welcome to all of you to this webinar. Now, I would like to invite our senior scientific officer from the Department of Science and Technology to deliver his keynote address.
Thank you, Shandalakshmi. At the outset, I would like to welcome each and every one of you, and I also like to thank the organizers of the Puducherry Climate Change Cell of the Department of Science Technology for giving me an opportunity to deliver the keynote address. And it's my pleasure to deliver this keynote address on a very important topic, Mission Life, Adopting Sustainable Food Systems. We all know that our country agriculture is the backbone, and it's not just an occupation, but it's a way of life to all the peoples. And embracing sustainability in our food system is not a choice, but it's an essential act, and as a commitment that we should express to the producers of food, namely the farmers, to our nation and to our environment. And if you see the country's journey towards sustainability, a spectrum of challenges and opportunities we have to work on. Our nation, if we take it as a whole, stands at the crossroads of rapid urbanization, changing food systems, and increasing pressure on natural resources. So it's our collective responsibility and duty to find solutions that balance food security with environmental preservation. A sustainable food system goes beyond the mere production of food. It involves the entire food chain from production to consumption and beyond. It includes social, economic, and various environmental dimensions. However, it is pertinent to note that in the present times, if you see the entire world, including our nation, we are facing the brunt of climate change. So we have to go for sustainable practices, which includes drought-resistant crops, climate-smart agriculture. All these can make our farmers resilient in the face of extreme weather conditions what we face today. And if you see the recent years, the government of India has taken many commendable steps towards fostering sustainable food systems, like the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, promoting organic farming, investing in agroecology, and also the government is also emphasizing more on the practice of promoting millets as one of the staple foods for all the people of our country. And if you see, there is a worth noting that the UN is celebrating 2023 as the International Year of Millets, which accepts the proposal submitted by India. Therefore, it is a high time that we all together, irrespective of whatever walks of life we are from, must understand the need for bringing in small but significant changes in our day-to-day dietary practices and our choice of food that will render our food system sustainable. And on this note, I express my belief that this webinar by Dr. G. Shekhar Kiran will help us in learning the best practices to adapt to sustainable food systems. Once again, I thank you for the opportunity provided. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before we go to the talk with the speaker, now I request T. Balaji, Senior Associate of Puducherry Climate Change Cell, to introduce the speaker to the participants.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hope I'm audible. I'll now introduce the speaker, Dr. Shehal Kiran, to the participants. Dr. Shehal Kiran is a professor in the Department of Food Science and Technology, Pondicherry University in Puducherry. She has a PhD in biotechnology and a postdoc from Environmental Research Institute, Ireland. Her areas of research include food safety, microbiome, and nutrigenomics. She has published over 70 research papers and has one patent to her acclaim. She has also published a book and has co-authored 17 other books. She has been the principal investigator for over 7 projects from the Department of Biotechnology, Department of Science and Technology, and other projects from UGC. Dr. Kiran has associated herself with several international collaborations with projects in Mexico and Ireland, and India UK AMR project in collaboration with Imperial College London, and in a European Union Microbiome Support Horizon 2020 project involving 25 countries, coordinated by the Austrian Institute of Technology. She has been awarded with several awards through her career, in the likes of DST Young Scientist Award in 2010, EMBO Fellow by European Molecular Biology Association in 2011, Nazi Young Scientist Medal 2013, ICMR International Fellow by International Environmental Research Institute Ireland in 2015, and several other awards. It is indeed our pleasure in having Dr. Sehal Kiran with us for the webinar. Thank you. Over to you, Santosh.
Thank you, Balaji. Now I request our speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Kiran, to deliver her talk.
Good evening, all. I thank the director and the senior scientific officers and all other officials and Ms. Sanda for inviting me to deliver the talk on adaptable sustainable food system. Shall I share the presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Whether the screen is visible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, visible.
I'm going to deliver the talk on sustainable food systems. So first we will see about what is sustainable food system. The sustainable food system are the fundamental one to ensure that future generations are food secure and they eat healthy diets. The transition towards sustainability, that is many of the existing food system must be reconstructed. To achieve a healthy and sustainable food system, that depends upon the collaborative efforts from the government, the private, public sectors, as well as from the individual.
Ma'am.
Ma'am, I think we lost your connection.
Sorry for the network interruption. So we will back. So the ideal food system that is should offers adequate nutrition and health, creates biodiversity that should avoid negative and ecological impact on environment, and it ensures livelihood for the farmers and to equal access to the land, water, and other inputs to or access to all the farmers. This the food system that should be constructed based upon the problems that we face nowadays. So the most important problems which we face today is the climate change. So here when we see that the modern agriculture that contributes to the climate change. So when we see the production system of agriculture is the main cultural practice that is, I mean, the country like India, we depend mostly on agriculture for the food. And here it emits nearly about 90 to 29% of the greenhouse gases. This greenhouse gas emission normally the other 70% that comes nearly from the energy sector. But when we see about the agriculture, out of those, the most important is from the rice cultivation, and because of the high fertilizer application rate, and also from the livestock population. So when we see that here, normally, we produce enough food, but the food is not distributed equally. So more than 820 million people are chronically undernourished. So the sustainable food system that has to bridge the gap so that everyone receives the nutritious food. So according to the data, when we see that because to the increase in population, to feed the population, we need to produce more amount of food. So by 2019, the greenhouse gas emission was nearly 20%. But according to the need of the agriculture and the food, the emission rate was expected to be nearly 50%. So when we think about the sustainability, this should be taken in account so that, one thing is everybody is getting the nutritious food, and another thing is the food which reduces the greenhouse gas emission. The next thing is promoting gender equality. The women from the rural areas, so they are already they can make the food system more sustainable and productive, so that their ideas and their thoughts has also been brought in to bring sustainable food systems. And another thing is that we know about the obesity. So we have, when the surplus food is there, but most of the food we are not concentrated on nutrition or based upon any other value addition in the food. That is, most of the time, the one thing is from the poor, they depend upon what they get and they eat. But those who are wealthy, they will just go for the choices or selective choices. That means just scroll down from the menu on the screens, they will order the food from the Zomato or any other or packed foods or ready to eat food and rush and go back to the work. Because of this, there is an obesity, and another point is the hidden hunger. So which both is the disease that contribute due to this is due to higher than the disease, the death rate which is caused by alcohol or the tobacco. So then this has to be, get reduced. And also this kind of food, which is, many kind of food business operator. There is increase in food business operated and street foods available. So because of this, the people don't depend upon any, they have only the selective choices of food. And the safety of food is not, they don't concentrate on the safety of the food as well as the nutrition value, which creates the non-communicable diseases like blood pressure, cardiac problems, obesity and diabetes and other kind of disorder. So the value should be prioritized normally for the sustainable thing, which is now normally, to make this environment sustainable, we should concentrate on the economy of the nature. But the prioritized, normally it lies in the market economy. And next comes in the nutrition, and next comes the economy is the today's status. But it should be in the reverse way. Economy of nature is the first, and the nutrition factor second, and then the market economy is the last. So based on we have to prioritize our to make sustainable the food system should be reconstructed in such a way that the nature economy is protected. So ensuring is it fine? Okay. So ensuring sustainable food production system, according to the UN Environment engages that a number of initiatives are involved so that to promote resource efficiency and climate smart best practices. So when we say that, as already I discussed, there is because of the agriculture is the largest cause of global environmental change, which when causes, this is causes due to because of the climate change, global environment changes due to climate change, deforestation, and also damage to the coastal and marine ecosystem. So when you see the food system transformation, one thing is, adoption and, resilience of farming systems. We should adopt a best farming system. That we should plan for the crops that reduces greenhouse emission. Yeah, especially like the millets. The government of India has proposed to the United Nations, as earlier said by the senior scientific officer, that for this 2023 is declared as International Year of Millets. So similar way, the pulses kind of crops or other crops which reduces greenhouse gas emission can be, we can think about it, and the farmers should adapt to that for the cultivation of such crops. And another thing is that next thing is the reduction of. So this food wastages or the losses, which also created a large amount of emission, and this also has to be reduced. And another more important aspects is that nutritional requirements and the standards to obtain the nutrition. So these three areas are the one which we have to concentrate for the healthy and sustainable food consumption pattern. So then another thing was the sustainable management of water resources. So most of the time in the agriculture, a large amount of pesticide and the fertilizer is used in the soil. So that there is large accumulation of pesticide in the soil that creates the groundwater pollution, as well as that deplete the essential minerals present in the soil. So this create undernourished in the children as well as for the other humans. According to the Sustainable Development Goal 2, the main aim was to ending world hunger by 2030. But the other emphasis is also on safe and nutritious food and also to reduce the malnutrition worldwide. So, according to the FAO, a sustainable food system is not the food security and food and nutrition security for today, but also it should contribute to the food and nutrition security for future generations. So the sustainability should be achieved can be achieved in three dimensions. That is, we should keep in mind of the economic, environmental and social. The main thing, as already I told about, there is zero food wastage, that is 100% adjust to the food, and to increase the small, the poor people income. And okay, so the problem with the conventional food system. So when we think about the population here, by 2050, there are about again increase will be about 3 billion people when compared to 2010. So there is will be increase in the 43% increase in the population. So to feed the 43% an extra agricultural or a high production system is essential. And also so that the food gap, we have to 56% of gap existing food system, we have to increase the food production system to about 7.4 trillion kilocalories of food is again needed. Then land area of 0.6 billion hectares is needed to feed for to aim for 2050. And the greenhouse gas emission will also, because aiming this, and keep in mind this will also get increased to 25%. So, okay. Challenges for adopting food system approaches in growth. One thing is climate change. Next thing we should keep in the population as a growth. And another thing which comes in mind with the natural resource depletion and globalization. So research and policies on food system that focus on agriculture is the main focus, that is narrowly focused, and to maintain or restore the productivity is the main aim. But the nutrition is the area which is limitedly focused. When we talk about food supply, always we concentrate on the production stage, not on the nutrition aspects. And also the socio-ecological aspects, interaction between the environment and the livelihood factors. This is also, least concern, but the main focus is always towards the agriculture side. So, as agriculture and climate change, when we think about it, there's a lot amount of emission, greenhouse gas emission like methane, nitrous oxide, and CO2 from the more amount is from the energy sector, that is 68.7, and other about 20%, which is contributed from the agriculture side. So this and other industrial process, they contribute to 6 to 2 and other 1%. Then in agriculture, when we see about, there is a lot of 39% comes from the fermentation, that is from the digestive of ruminants when they digest the grasses, 39%. And another one is from the, livestock, the feed which is used for, one thing is the feed which is used and the fermentation is 39. Another one, agricultural manure which is used, then synthetic fertilizers and rice cultivation and the burning of the dry grasses. So they all contributed to the greenhouse gas emission. So when we think about greenhouse gas emission from Indian diets, the food consumption percentage, when we see that only 9% of the population, they consume the rice. The major food consumed was from the vegetables and other pulses, grants, third. But when we see the greenhouse emission, for the 9% of the food consumption, the greenhouse gas emission was found to be 36.9%. So it's the right time to think about to change from the from the rice cultivation to the millet and other crops, which reduces the greenhouse gas emission. And also from the livestock, from the from the animals. So alternative meat-based protein, from the microbials-based protein, is also an essential thing to think about in for the to get the sustainable. So when you see the top 10 countries by total agriculture emission, so out of the countries, the Brazil ranks first, Indonesia and India is the third to emit, total agriculture emission. That is comes up around approximately 30%. So then when you see that, as we already seen in the previous slides, the food, which emits 26%, that from the livestock and fisheries, that, which gives 31% of emission, and next from the crop, and 18% from the supply chain, and 24% from the land. So the government has taken a lot of initiative to transform Indian agri-food sector. So one of their such initiative is a national mission on sustainable agriculture for improving the water and nutrient efficiency and also for the soil health. One of those supportive scheme was Pradhana Mantri Kisan scheme for income support to the farmers, and MGNREGS scheme for mitigating the water scarcity, crop insurance schemes, and food processing and supply chain efficiency, Pradhana Mantri Sambada, then scheme for promoting solar energy. So then other consumption side we have, public distribution system, midday meal, and scheme for school children and National Food Security Act. So these are some of the government initiatives to transform Indian agri-food sector and to improve the livelihood. So when we see here, these are the government initiative plans, and which one is circled to the green, that indicates that sustainable food policies are involved in this one which is circled in the green. The changing food system. So according to FAO, a food system should be considered in the context of increasing population, rapid urbanization and consumption pattern changes, as well as unfortunate climate change and depletion of natural resources. So always the changes in the food production and consumption system are needed to achieve sustainable. That is main. We have to reduce the food loss waste to contribute to the shift towards global healthier and sustainable diets. And problems related to the challenges include greenhouse gas emission, which is associated with the livestock, over exploitation of marine ecosystem, and the banning of the residues and other food residues. So we have the right time to think about other alternatives. So there are the different methods of the traditional method. It is produced. The food is produced in small scale, and their food are unprocessed, and that their impact is the low carbon emission. Because of the small scale production, food shortages are there. But in the modern one, expansion production, increased use of natural resources, processed and packaged foods, and increased emission of carbon, and inequality along the food chain, and other non-communicable diseases are also because of the packed, processed, and other foods which is available. That's not based upon the nutrition based. This all based on the choices or the people preferences. They go for only a selected food. And alternatives, always we should go think about an alternative which has sustainable agricultural method, and we have to re-emergence of the neglected crops like millets. So these are there so that environmental impact and the nutritional deficiency and that can be improved. So sustainable food cycle, which start from the production, processing, distribution, consumption, and all the stages, the sustainable, that is, recycling, reduction of food waste, consumption, nutrition-based food consumption, the network for distribution of the food. In these two areas, production, emphasizing in production, we have to emphasize on the local and seasonal food, as well as on marine macroalgae like seaweed cultivation, and these are the areas we have to emphasize here to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. And as well as the food safety is another more important thing when we concentrate more on about production aspects and nutrition, but the food safety is also a very important aspects that's very essential to prevent the illness, because according to Center for Disease Control, each year around 2 billion people are infected because of the antibiotic infections that cause nearly about 25,000 deaths each year. So this water efficiency has also be managed well. So this also has circular economy states that wastage from food production is repurposed, recycled, and returned to ecosystem as nutrients. So when you see the annual crop residue, when we take us at 100%, 53% was used as feed, and another one 27 as fuel, and 19.62% used for other purpose, and 12% was the crop residues was burned. So here, to make the food, nutritious, safe, and sustainable, we have to bring, the transformation in the food system is very much essential. So it's always essential to make. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So, to make the food, the special emphasis should be given on the collaborative approach for policy making and implementation. So, it is the best thing to transfer the food system in a resource efficient and sustainable manner while providing healthy and nutritious food to all. So, the main thing is to sustainable and healthy and nutritious food to all. So, this is the main thing, that we have to concentrate on. So some problem is there going back. Okay. Future technology with transformative potential that includes gene technology, food processing and safety, replacement of food and feed, digital agriculture. These are some of the modern technologies. So out of this, food processing and safety and replacement of food and the feed, in which we can, with the related inputs from the research side, and willing to provide. So then another thing was food processing and safety. That is, from the microbial safety aspects, from the microbial coatings or the nanocomposite that can be used as, protective coat for the food, and there is fruit coating, or, that make it, in order we can avoid the chemical preservatives to be used in the food, and we can go with the microbial based coating so that the food can be preserved for a longer period of a time. And nanocomposite can also be used to, defer the pathogen attack. The one the publication which came in the Nature, that waterborne pathogen in Jaipur. And so this India reveals a potential microbial risk for underground water supply. So this happens because of the over exploitation of the water bodies. So because of the groundwater exploitation, most of the the agricultural residues, or any industrial residues that let into the ground, and which reaches the underground water supply, and it contaminates the water, the drinking water supply. So the people they are at risk, and there is a risk of developing antimicrobial resistance. So another paper which is published in Nature that shows that antibiotic resistance shows up in India's drinking water. So this is another one, so which we have to be more careful when we talk about the sustainable environment. So according to WHO, that antibiotic resistance is the one in which the germs cannot be, defeated by using the convention, that using the antibiotics. That is, they defer the antibiotics what is used to kill them. So, so this is the biggest challenge in the public nowadays. As already we discussed in CDC report, 2.8 million people get an AMR infection. Out of that, more than 35,000 people, because they could not be treated with any of the antibiotics, because they're already become resistant to the existing antibiotics. They cannot be treated by the drugs which is available. So this is a global issue that we have to be think about. Collaborative approaches is needed to think about this, IAMR resistance. So we think that this is only in the form or in the soil, how it can be transformed to our food. Normally, the drug-resistant bacteria, that is, normally the food, what the feed, what is given for the, to the cattle or to the, poultry farm, they contain, antibiotic residues, and they develop resistance towards the feed contains, antibiotics, and the microbes also develop, resistance towards this when there is no farm animals are at risk of infection. The farmers give antibiotics. They, that small whole income people, they do not know how much load of antibiotics to be added and how much dosage should be given. But the government has given, taken a lot of initiatives to, ban usage of antibiotics to the, even in the shrimp farm. But the farmers, they just want to get rid of the infection. They will use the antibiotic as such, and then that farm animals then will be taken to as a food. This enter the residues, antibiotic residues, they can also enter into the body, which creates AMR in our body itself. Then another important aspects here is the biofilm. So when we talk, normally we talk about the microbial cells. These microbial cells are very small as, they are small organism, microbes are. But when they are, we know that they are single-celled organism. But in the case of biofilm, when more bacteria or more microorganisms, they get, attached together, they form, biofilm. We call them, group of cluster of attachments. So group of microorganisms that forms, aggregation on the surfaces. So this may be food surfaces or from the food processing areas. So this can, this attach. So they get attached to a particular surface. Then it start to grow by utilizing the nutrients present there. So here, they start to, grow in a community, and they will become a strong, when we put like a cement-like structure, when we build the houses, they will become a strong association. So it cannot be killed by normal, antimicrobial agents. So because they are in because the antibiotic cannot penetrate inside their, outermost cell wall complexes. So this has to be, then after when they become maturation, they move from one place to they move to another one. Likewise, with the AMR, this bacteria or this, biofilm, they can move from one to another. Then here, the possible alternative involved here, we have to think about, there are different technologies are involved, then gene editing, then, by using natural component reservoir, component like, quercetin, neem, we know that they all possess antibacterial and antiviral. They can also be used as an alternative therapy along with their, normal drug therapy. And in addition to that, enzymes that can break the cell wall, so they can able to enter inside and they can able to attack the, biofilm. This we can see that it rod like a capsule form is there, the bacterial cells, biofilm. We can able to attack it. So this is one of the research publication which we published. This is against, food pathogens. That is an enzyme from the marine bacterium that destruct the bacterial biofilms. So this is the one which we can see. This is the confocal laser microscopy, and the A, which represents the control. That is, you can see the dense biofilm, and the B2, C3, or they are the, we used Salmonella. This is the biofilm of Salmonella, Listeria, and Pseudomonas. And then you can see the destruction patterns, in when we use the increasing dosage of the enzyme lipase. And another one is that, antimicrobial metabolite, N-hexadonic acid. This is, a palmitic, we call as palmitic acid methyl ester. This also inhibited the multi-drug resistant Pseudomonas aeruginosa. The Pseudomonas aeruginosa is isolated from the fish, which is purchased from the local market. So this normally may not be the Pseudomonas contamination occur in the fish. This is due to cross contamination from the handlers, or occurred from the environment, but the bacteria Pseudomonas is found to be multi-drug resistant. So this is one of a recent study which is published in Biofouling. And another one is that, normal, one of the things to attack the bacterial virulence is that, one thing is motility. Motility is the one, the bacteria move from one place to another. That is, there you can see in this first A, which the bacteria has, swimming, swarming, the different kinds of motility. So when we treat with the compound, the B, we can see that the motility of the bacteria is reduced. So that, when motility is reduced, it cannot move from one place to another, so it cannot pass infection to the other, individuals or to the other sites. So this is also the, hemolysis means, it can able to, the pathogen can able to lyse the red blood cells. And once after treatment, this we call as virulence, capable of inhibiting, lysing the red blood cells. So this is reduced after treating with the compound. This is isolated, that is we call as, polyhydroxybutyrate. This is a polymer which is isolated from a bacteria. They causes, inhibition of, virulence activity. So this is for Vibrio, which is isolated from shrimp pathogens, So the pathogen of this is a Vibrio campbelli, which were isolated from a shrimp farm. There is an drastic death in the shrimp farm, and the farmer called us, and we went for the pathogen isolation, and we found that the pH is found to be effective inhibiting in the virulence characteristics of Vibrio. The same Vibrio PHP, it's a polymer. It's produced from the bacteria. So this is used as a coating for the tomato. Normally, we know that tomato has a very less shelf life. These are the control after this is after 1 week, and after this is 10 days, and this is after 25 days, it is completely spoiled. One which coated with the PHP, they are completely safe. So we have to think about a natural based microbial based coating for the food to preserve the food for a longer time, rather than going with a chemical based coating. This is another one. We have prepared a filling, packaging filling for the food packaging application purpose. And this also, the film is also found to be, antibacterial effect, so that it gives a good protection for the food, so that the shelf life of the food is enhanced. So you can see that the packaging film inhibited the growth of the bacteria, but in the case of the normal packaging fillings, packaging they have good growth of the bacterial colonies. So this is the one which we published in the scientific report. That is, this film which is, against the multi-drug resistant Staphylococcus aureus gives a good protective effect. And this is also another fatty acid methyl ester that reduces the virulence of the bacteria. So these kind of natural compounds from microbial cells can be used as a food safety mechanism, so that the food can be preserved for a longer time without using any chemical preservatives. And another one is the one which we use, the biosurfactant, that is the emulsifier. We all know about the surfactants. Normally we use in the as an wetting agent or as a detergent agent. This is the biosurfactant which is produced, or we call that as also as a bioemulsifier, because they also have an emulsifying property. So this is added to the muffin as a replacer of egg, so that this biosurfactant that gives the when compared to control, the quality and the texture wise and everything is similar to that of the control, and the shelf life is also found to be good. In addition to that, it also removes heavy metal which is present in the reduce the biosorption, like heavy metals in the environment. Is we take the soil sample and treat it with the biosurfactant, and we found that it is completely, the heavy metal thing was the level was reduced. And this can, so we have developed a biosurfactant mediated wash solution for vegetables to remove the heavy metals present in the vegetable from the surface of the vegetables. This is another one which we published in Critical Reviews in Biotechnology. Then another one which is from this also from the biosurfactant. This is used to improve the probiotic characteristics of the, that yogurt, starter culture which is used for preparing the yogurt. And when we add the lipopeptide to the yogurt, the starter cultures, their characteristics of, their tolerance to acid, bile, everything was, their growth potential, everything was enhanced. And another, this is also where application in the food industry. So then another one research point which we are concentrating here was replacement of food and feed. Seaweed as food. So to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, seaweed is a good alternative to reduce, the global warming in the environment. So then seaweed-based protein, food product. Then another thing was as for the shrimp feed. Normally we use, the shrimp as we discussed. The farmers use antibiotics when pathogen attack is there, because they always think about precautionary effect. So when this when they see that there are the animal is found to be sick, immediately they will add the antibiotics, so then they need to protect the other animal, because once an attack is started, the other immediately it caused devastation of all the shrimp, death of the shrimp, yeah, farmed shrimps. So in the cases, they use plenty of antibiotics. So then alternative, as I discussed, we developed a feed for the shrimp. The feed was developed using, PHP and a bioemulsifier, and we use gelatin as a binder. With the formulated feed, which is fed to the, the larvae in the lab trials, and we found that they are, completely, fine to be used as a feed. And one of our industrial collaborators, they're interested in this product, and now we have transferred the technology of the feed formulation using the PHP and the lipopeptide based feed. So we can see here, the shrimp is also, very fond of, taking, because they are easily digestible, and the total, phosphorus nitrate level in the water is also, reduced, and the growth rate is also found to be enhanced. And the shrimp is also the weight of the shrimp is also higher when compared to that of control. So this is the diet we have formulated and given. Another thing, seaweed is used as a feed, and also as an, they can use as a fertilizer. Rather than going with the NPK based and the urea based fertilizer, the seaweed can be used as a fertilizer for the agricultural farm, so that greenhouse gas emission can be completely reduced. So we have concentrated on the seaweed, especially on phytosterol and fucoidin. And this is, we have added as a nutrition supplement to the existing food product. So this is to contribute to the sustainable, to make the food nutritious. This phytosterol is found to be, anti-diabetic, and there are also anti-cholesterol effects. So this is added to the food. And fucoidin is the one which we recently, formulating it, and this we are thinking to make it in the, capsule form. So this contributes seaweed, contribute to the sustainable development goal tool, in addition to the, climate action. So this can be used as a fertilizer. And this is also used as an, alternative for sequestration of carbon dioxide. So the seaweed forming is an, it's very easy to form the seaweed in the seashore, near to the sea shore areas. So, and it's the livelihood of the women, most of the Rameshwaram and other areas, most of the women people are involved in the cultivation of seaweed, and their income is also highly, enhanced. Because it's a expenditure based, the farming is very, negligible when compared to that of any other, agriculture farming, because no fertilizer is required, no water or any other, land area is required for giving farming of seaweeds. So these are some of the species of seaweed which we collected from the southwest coast, and we have done, isolated different compounds out of that, and we have checked the antimicrobial activity, and they are, found to be, highly, active against, pathogens. And this is another one which we, which we used for creating, tonic. This is an, alga based tonic formulation. This is a good source of the seaweed is a good source of protein, dietary fiber, and as a role of, they can be used as, prebiotics to enhance the gut microbiota. They enhance the gut health. Good in, phenolics and antioxidant activity. They are rich in minerals, vitamins, so they can be used as a good alternative as a nutritious food. Then this is the cultivation. They can cultivate it on the seashore areas. When we compare the protein content, the one of the red algae porifera, which is about 84 gram of protein in a square meter area. But when compare this protein, when we compare the soya protein is just only 40 gram, and meat is just only 5 gram in per, if you compare a square meter area. So the seaweed are a rich source of protein, and this can be used as an, alternative when the farming of animals, which create a lot amount of greenhouse gas emission. And we can think about an alternative for seaweed as in cultivation and the harvesting, and their potential as incorporation in the food will be a sustainable way to reduce the global warming in the environment. And the government initiatives like Seaweed Park in Tamil Nadu. Here, there are more than 10,000 women are involved in the seaweed collection. So this improve the economical status of the coastal communities also. So this is one of the things. And another thing, the different methods are the raft method. Just as you know, a bamboo stick which we immersed in for 45 days and which yield nearly about 200 kg of seaweed. And they have a, so this is some of the product which we extracted from the seaweed, and then we added to the curd, and then we checked the activity, and we found that they have a good anti-diabetic potential. So the toxicity assays on rats study has been performed, and everything is found to be quite good in that case of activity. So this we have already published in one of the journal, and we have also incorporated this into farm biscuit, so that biscuit is a snack, so that everybody interested to eat, so the diabetic patients can also eat the the phytosterol, that is one which is isolated stigmasterol, which is incorporated in the biscuit, and it is used as an as a dietary supplement, and it can be added to that. And next alternative, we can think about the genetically modified crops, so that climate change, that can be, we can reduce the climate mitigation changes, as well as carbon dioxide emission from the land. So here, we can, when we culture the crops in the genetically based, we can save the land area. We will get the high productivity, as well as then the forest is protected, and the greenhouse, the carbon dioxide emission level is also less, and more affordable food at the production cost is less, because less we are not adding any fertilizer, pesticide or anything, so ultimately the production cost of the food is also less. The next approach is the climate smart agriculture, that aims in three objectives. One thing is sustainably increasing agriculture productivity, and adapting resilience to climate change, and this thing to remove greenhouse gas emission wherever is possible. We have to adopt the methods to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. Then other, inputs, there are different nano pesticides are there, microbiota is used, and soil additives are also added to enhance the soil. Rather than going for fertilizer, we can add the soil additives to enhance the nutrient uptake by the microbe. So the microbe themselves act as an they provide protection against the pathogen attack to the plants from the then another thing, the microbes can also be use seaweed as a source of protein sources, and this can also be used as a source of protein. So when we talk about the microbes, always the people think about they are very harmful organisms, but it's always very important to raise public awareness regarding the microbial based food and feed products, because when we think about environment sustainability of current agricultural practices, we should rethink the whole agriculture food system to bring the changes in the in a sustainable change in the environment. So innovative technologies are always needed. So the microbe which is isolated from a thermophilic vent, which is produced in bioreactor more amount. So this is used as a meat alternative and incorporated the burger. So, and it is used as a uh, alternative to meat protein. Microbe can be used because it requires very less space for production in the lab area. No other whatever the nutrients we are providing is completely utilized, and it produced protein. So then the microbes that can utilize all the residues, which we can grow the microbes using agricultural residues, from the wheat bran, rice bran, or any other food byproducts, or from the residues which generated from the vegetable peels or the fruit peels, that can be used as a residue. And these residues are pre-treated, and then you have to inoculate with a microorganism, and this microorganism is produce in a bioreactor, produce a large amount of microbial cell that is rich in protein, or then you have to separate it, and then you can use as a food and feed additive. So the microbe is also an alternative. So one thing is seaweed, and microbial based thing is an alternative for the sustainable to bring sustainable environment. So when we think about the people of blue zone, they have longer life because longevity areas. Five countries that are identified. One is the Loma Linda in California, and Sardina, then Okinawa in Japan. So these are the some. So they, when you see that why the people have longevity, they have they eat wisely. That is nutritious food, mainly of a plant-based diet. They have mild exercises. So then we see that they are involved in social engagement. They consume more legume, and they have well connected with the family and social engagement. So when we see about so the blue zone, the power we call this move naturally. They take break in the work and they relax. They eat they have good social network and connect with the religion, prioritize with the family. So these are some of the reasons, so that we can see that when we compare the three spaces, the Loma Linda, Okinawa and Sardina, the most common thing here was they are not involved in smoking. They eat plant-based diet and involved in the physical activity, and the women are empowered and they are well connected with the family, and they are involved in the home gardening and other recreational activity. So when we see here the microbiome, what we normally first we told we were discussing about microbial cell as a source of protein. Now, microbiome, that means, here the difference of when a baby is born through normal delivery, the microbiomes occurred from the mother, through the vaginal, whatever the microbiome of mother is transferred to the baby. So this microbiome, that is, cluster of, microbes, group of, they live in, we call that as, microbiota. So this maintain, healthy and well-being. They prevent infection rate, and also protects us from the immune-mediated disorders. So how to attain this healthy microbiome? So this can be only achieved by means of the diet, functional food. When we eat only chosen food, and so that microbiota is also be unique. They won't be diverse. So when we got more amount of plant-based diet and other probiotic and prebiotics in our diet, so that our gut is the more amount of symbiosis, beneficial bacteria, microbiome that colonize on the gut, that protects our body from the diseases, because this is the diverse microorganisms, microbiome, which is present in our human body, diverse thing. So when we found that when the baby is born, they are they get the microorganism from the environment through the normal baby delivery born baby from the breastfeed and formula fed. They also occur from the different kinds of So when you see there is a difference between healthy and obese people. So, and also when we see about malnutrition, the malnutrition one which is undernourished, they have about the proteobacteria is the more common one here. And even in the obese, we can see the proteobacteria, but the healthy one, we cannot see the proteobacteria, only the firmicutes, and that is, the probiotic bacteria, which is more in the case of healthy. So the unhealthy, or the obese, or this is decided by the microbiome of the gut. So the diet or the food that we eat, that decided the microbiome of the gut. So we have to choose the food wisely. So then, in the case of microbiome researchers, actually, so when we think about that, this is still in an infantry stage, because, more public awareness should be created in the, to the, farmers, to the big food processors, and to the, food consumers, based on the microbiome-based food system transformation. And another thing is that this microbiome research, the research data is not widely available, easily available, and particularly to the lay people, it's very, they didn't know the awareness about the microbiome based research. So awareness should be created on that, and that is especially because of the lack of understanding. then the food design should take an account of these bacteria which is present in the human body, because the food when we colonize the gut with when we eat prebiotics like dietary fibers and all, the gut microbiota has diverse amount of probiotic microorganism which protects the our gut from colon cancer and other gastrointestinal disorder, as well as from the acidity and other related disorders. So then this microbiome also protects the antimicrobial resistance and benefit the health. They support the food security, so that when the policy decisions are maker, the microbiome research is also an which should be taken into account, so that it would be a good alternative for the bring improve health of the people. So to improve human health, that is we need functional foods, dietary supplement that's a probiotic. When we give that the gut microbiome, in our stomach, they are enhanced with probiotic, flora, so that this gives a good protection from the disease. Nowadays, this is also given to the people who have mental disorders, that we supplied in the form of psychobiotic. So now there should be a rebirth. Previously the people traditional days they go with the fermented foods. It's something like what we call the fermented rice, pickles, yogurt and other wet. But now this fermented foods is rich in the microbial flora, especially the probiotic flora. So there should be the rebirth of this fermented foods is essential to protect our gut. In food production system, microbiome innovation can, they increase the crop production. We no need to add any fertilizer, because the beneficial, normally there are numerous amount of, microbial, components, they're available. Pseudomonas is available, rhizobium is available. They are sold in the market. But this can be, sold as association. This can be added to the soil, so that the plant is protected from pathogen attack. The good microbiome protects the plants and from the pathogenic bacteria. It is also added to the cattle for their improved livestock, so that antibiotic usage can be completely avoided. And also this microbiome protects the food contamination and spoilage. One thing, the soil, without any additional fertilizer or pesticides, so that the plants can be protected by the microbiome innovation technology. Another thing, the cattle's health can be improved, so that they are disease free, and the contamination of the food and the spoilage can also be prevented. This is one of our paper which is published in Microbiome Research in Agri-Food System, in collaboration with one of our European Union funded project. Then the microbiome success, that is based upon innovation in the food chain context, and that leads to commercialization, and leads to food safety, and changes in the legal regulation based on microbiome research is required. And they are they provide increased product yield with prevent the economic losses to the industry. And this microbiome based research, not only to the agri-food system, as well as in the to the medical, as well as other environmental science, definitely this will be a very helpful. Then thanks for your patient listening. Thank you. Any questions? Shanda?
Yes, ma'am.
The presentation is done. If any questions or any clarifications.
Any queries?
Hello, good evening all.
Good evening, ma'am.
This is Dr. Alamelu Mangai from Bharathasan Government College for Women, the Department of Home Science.
Tell me.
There is a question. This is to applaud Dr. Kiran for your wonderful lucid presentation.
Thank you.
Within an hour, I think you have almost beautifully covered how to adopt food sustainable food system. I'm so impressed. So I really wanted to applaud you, Kiran. And that's true. Whatever the points that you have told is true that we need to have a joint effort.
Yes,
I personally feel that we need to have a collaboration across all sections,
yes, ma'am.
breaking the silos so that we can essentially contribute and adopt the sustainable food system.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
As you said, complementing the efforts of the government and the individual consumers,
Yes,
businesses have a great role in maintaining a trend towards producing as well as consumption of sustainable food item. And you have rightly taken into the biome and seaweed for innovative product formulation. So, as a nutritionist, I feel so proud listening to you for more than an hour, and I'm so glad for all the points that you have covered and happy to be in this meet. And I thank Dr. Kumaresan for having enabled me to join this session. And to the participants, I have to tell you that there is no single factor, as she has said, that can contribute. It must be a holistic approach so that we can adopt this sustainability in our Indian food systems also. Thank you all. Well done, Kiran.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Ma'am, I am Zakir Hussain, Joint Director Agriculture from the Agriculture Department.
Good evening, sir.
It was a very good presentation regarding you have thrown light on many things, ma'am. Just I have a small clarification that I wanted.
Tell me.
Ma'am, because of the on recent times,
Yes, sir.
we have got some technologies from the Central Institute of Fisheries Research
Oh,
that Cochin
okay, sir.
and the incorporation of seaweed in the preparation of millet-based cookies.
Okay,
When
sir.
I was working as a program coordinator of KVK,
Okay,
and
sir.
it was a very good it's very much taken by the self-help group women who have
Yes.
attempted to produce this one. It was also liked by many of the people, and it is a very good enterprise. Ma'am, I want to know whether our coastal area in Puducherry can this seaweed cultivation could be done, because I heard something that some high we have a lot of this high tide waves which
Yeah.
cannot be used for this cultivation like that. Is it
Yes.
true, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Because we have a high tide and there is a fluctuations in the climate.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a little bit of the. So
Yes.
actually, like one of our DST Syst is a technology-based project. So that we are trying to base seaweed cultivation in the laboratory way. We have to bring the seawater to the
Yes.
and then we are planning to cultivate by using raft or other rope kind of cultivation method.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
but it is better, I think, when because the government of Puducherry has several other initiative also to plan, and they are planning for, make artificial coral reef like, system in Puducherry hosted area. So if that is, successfully implemented, then seaweed will naturally can grow on this coral reefs areas so that it can also be collected and can be used.
Now can I
Thank you,
add
ma'am.
on? Can I add on, sir,
Yeah,
for your
yeah,
question?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
Dr. Kiran, can I talk like
yeah,
one
yeah, yeah,
point?
yes, 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 ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Sir, with regard to our Puducherry region, we had tried to develop the food products using same millets in our own college. But what later we understood was the nutritional value is much more in Ramnad and Mandap region seaweeds when compared to ours, I think, sir. So that is why, as Dr. Kiran said, we have to develop now a sustainable practice to cultivate the seaweed in our region. so that
Thank,
that could replace the best food for our people, sir.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? I thank all of you, and especially the Director of Science and Technology and other officials, who has invited me. This is the right time that the webinar is, timely planned and well organized. I thank this opportunity provided to me to deliver, especially on this sustainable food system topic. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any others?
Any other queries from the participants? Okay. So I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the participants for joining us in this webinar. Special thanks to our speaker for sharing her expertise and knowledge. We value your time and effort in delivering this webinar, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And I thank our department senior scientific officer for delivering his keynote address. And I also thank our director, Department Science, Technology and Environment for his support and encouragement in organizing this webinar. So thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you.